Learning to count entries is one of the most important skills a price action trader can possess. And why is it so important? Well, because market likes to move in pairs of twos. This is how market moves. It is tied down to human psychology. And this two-legged move, also known as a two-legged pullback, creates a high probability setup. Two-legged move, in other words, second entry, if we combine it with the proper key entry point, is a high probability setup. This is why counting entries is so crucial, because we want to find the proper second entries under the right circumstances. So if we take a look at the most recent price action, we always take into consideration the most recent price action. The most recent price action, the structure is bullish. We are above the exponential moving average and we are creating a consecutive higher highs and higher lows. This is just clear uptrend. So we are looking for reasons to go long. We do not argue with the trend. We're looking for reasons to go long. So we're going to count from this high. Why we are going to count from this high? Because this high is the highest high of this entire move. This high is higher than this high, is higher than this high, and is higher than this high right here. If I put this to the very right side of the chart, this is what we would see, and now it makes sense. This is the highest high of the entire uptrend. So when we're looking at the highest high, this is where we start our count, and we're looking to look for entries. And an entry is basically when the bar breaks the previous bar high just by one tick. And don't worry about this, I will explain everything and show you guys example. So we have a highest high right here, and we have a first bearish move down, second bearish move down, third bearish move down, and neither above none of these bars we triggered higher yet. Only right here we finally got a one tick trigger above this bearish bar, above this bearish bar high on this bullish bar. So first entry long triggered above this bar with this bullish bar. So this would be high, first entry long, and prices continue working higher, and we didn't have a second entry. Why we don't have a second entry long here? Well, because this high right here just broke the previous pivot's high, the previous swing high. This high right now, right here, is higher than this high, and it resets the count according to price action rules. So we have to start counting entries over from this high right here. So what do we have? We have a bearish move down, we have another bearish move down, we have a bearish move down, bearish move down, bearish move down. Even though this is bullish, we haven't triggered yet one tick above neither one of these bars highs. These are consecutive bars working lower and lower. We are just breaking the lows, but we are not breaking the highs. So the first entry long hasn't even triggered yet. We finally have a first entry long trigger one tick higher above this bullish bar right here. So the first entry long trigger right here, and the first entry long of the previous swing triggered above this bar right here with this bullish bar, and we triggered here one tick above this bar on this bullish bar. And notice we are working higher, we're working higher, and what happened? The same thing. This high just broke the previous pivot's high. So I have to reset the count and start my count over again. This high is higher than this high and this high. So we have a move working lower, and we have a first entry above this bar. This bar, this doji looking bar, just broke by one single tick above the previous bar's high. So this would be a first entry long that failed, because first entry is not a high probability setup. Remember, price is making two-legged pullbacks. The second entry was high probability setup. So we have a first entry long that failed, and then we have a second entry long that triggered one tick above this bullish bar. I'm going to show you once again. This right here on this bar just broke one tick higher on this bar. So this is a first entry long pullback, second entry long. This is a high probability setup because it is a two-legged move at the EMA, which is a key entry point, and also there is a trend line. We have a first two swings confirm the trend line, set up the trend line, and third swing confirm the trend line. So this is a high probability setup, and price keeps making higher highs. And what do we have here? We're still in an uptrend, so we're looking for more opportunities to go long. We have a new high right here because this high right here, and why this is a new high? Because we just created a high right here, and we have a swing by one tick at least break below this bar right here. If we didn't get the trigger one tick lower below this bar right here, there is no swing and we keep going higher, we keep going higher. So the pivot always happens when we have a bullish move and a bearish move right after this. We have to trigger below this bar low for the pivot to establish. Okay? So we have to start our count over. So what do we have? We have a move and a first entry long triggered above this doji looking bar. And what happened? We have a double top right here. And hold on, here is a special treat for you. Double tops and double bottoms reset the count. So even though we have a first entry long right here, we just created a double top to the very tick on this red bar. So that means that we have to reset the count and start counting over and looking for entries from this bearish bar with the red body. So this is a double top and we didn't create a move down, we continue working higher. But had we continue working lower, we would have been counting from this bar right here because the double top and double bottom resets the count. Price keeps making highs and we're basically resetting the counts over and over and over again. Now, this high right now is higher than all the previous bars high, and we just broke one tick below this bar right here, one tick below. So this is a new pivot. If you take a look on the right side of the chart, this is the highest high of this entire uptrend. So remember, we are looking for this pattern, two-legged pullback at the key entry point. So we have a move down, and a first entry long triggered above this bullish bar on the following bar. This following bar just triggered one tick higher above this bar right here. It's starting to get a little bit cluttered, but don't worry, it is not so hard. Hopefully it's that obvious. A first entry long, because first entry is not high probability. We have 3 consecutive bearish bars working lower, and here we have a first bullish bar, and we still don't have a second entry long yet. We still are working lower. On this bar right here, that broke one tick higher above this bar, this just created a second entry long right here. Pullback, first entry long, pullback, second entry long right here. At the 2 key entry points, very high probability setup resulted in winning trades. So this is how you count entries in a trend, specifically in an uptrend in this example. If we break the previous pivot's high, you have to reset the count and start counting over. Now what we need to realize is that we always take into consideration the most recent price action. Because if we, for example, take a look on yesterday's session, and if we, for example, take a look at this high right here is clearly lower than these highs right here, than this high. But the uptrend started from this point on, and we are always interested in the most recent price action. Otherwise, we would never get the proper count. So the most recent price action where the trend is starting, that's when we start counting. And we pushed above the EMA strongly. So this is a good sign that the uptrend is starting. And we have a first entry that triggered one tick above this bullish bar. This is the new high, pullback. First entry is working higher and there is no second entry. Because now we are working higher, and we notice how we don't have a trigger one tick below neither of these bars. So there is no pivot, there is no swing. The swing occurred right here because we just triggered one tick below the following bars low. So we have a finally pivot, and finally we can start counting from this point on. This is the highest high because this high is higher than this one, and we have just a first entry long trigger one tick higher above this bar, and we continue working higher. New pivot right here, and a first entry long trigger higher. So this is just a bunch of first entries. Now, I mentioned that double tops and double bottoms reset the count. And here is the example. I'm just going to make it even more visible. This high right here is higher than all the previous swings. This is the highest swing. If you take a look at the right side of the chart, this is the highest swing. Now, we have a bearish move down and we have a first entry long because this bullish bar triggered about this bearish bar high and thus created a perfect double top. So I have to reset my count over because double tops and double bottoms reset the count. So I'm starting to count from this bullish bar. So we have a first entry long that triggered one tick above this bar. On this bar triggered one tick above this bar, so created a first entry long. Now experienced price action trader can see that this is a two-legged move and this is a hidden second entry long. So I don't want you guys to be focusing on this. Just remember double tops and double bottoms reset the count. But an advanced trader can use his experience of studying the charts and can see that this is a two-legged pullback, and he can potentially treat it as a second entry if he deems so. But the beginner trader only wants to focus on resetting the count. Same thing happened right here. The price right now is in a downtrend, and this is the first bearish leg that we are working lower, and this is the first swing. So we're starting the count. Let's now talk about starting the count in a downtrend. We're starting the count from this swing right here. So prices are working higher, and this would be just a first entry short because we triggered one tick below this bar right here. Let me make it better. Excuse me, rectangle right here. We just triggered one tick below this bar and created a first entry. And there is no second entry because this swing right here is lower than this swing. We just broke this swing's low. So we have to start our count over if we are looking for reasons to go short. This is the new low, pullback, first entry short, and we are continuing working lower. And here we have a pullback, first entry short. But what do we have? We have a double bottom, so we are starting the count over from this point on. And remember, this is a still downtrend, and it remains to be a downtrend until the bar or the move breaks the previous pivot's high. This is because this move right here didn't break this pivot's high. So this is a still downtrend. This move up here didn't break this pivot's high. So this is a still downtrend. This move up higher didn't break this pivot's high. So this is a still downtrend. And if we count from the top, this is a first entry long, pullback, second entry long, pullback, third entry long, pullback, fourth entry long. And on this fourth entry long, we just broke the previous pivot's high. So the downtrend is over and the bullish trend just started. And since the bullish trend just started, we are looking for second entry longs. We're just pushed above the EMA, and this is the highest high right here. This high is higher than this high. It created the swing because we triggered one tick below this bar, so this is the swing. And we have a first entry long that triggered one tick above this bar, push lower, and a second entry long that triggered one tick above this bullish bar. This is the first entry long right here, and this is the second entry long right here. And you can see two bearish legs working lower. First bearish leg, first entry long, second bearish leg, second entry long, and then we continue working higher. And also, since we are pushing above the EMA, this is just a little tip, we can use this opportunity to look for second entry short failures because the downtrend played out, and we know the overall bias is up, and we know there are going to be people trapped going short. And since we have a double bottom right here and we have to reset the count, we have to start counting from this bullish bar. Let me just make it a little bit more clear. We have a bullish bar right here. We pushed above the EMA, and this is the first entry short, pullback, second entry short trigger below this bar. So this is the first entry short, pullback, second entry short, and it failed. So this is a high probability setup. We're looking for second entry longs with the trend at the key entry point, and when we are in an uptrend, we're looking for failed second entry shorts. If we were in a downtrend, we would be looking for failed second entry longs. That's a little bit too complicated, and don't worry about this. This lesson was only about how to count entries with the trend.